Welcome to Uncommon Knowledge. I'm Peter Robinson. Bjorn Lomborg is president of the Copenhagen Consensus Center, a think tank dedicated to applying economic analysis, including cost-benefit analysis, which we'll be talking about quite a lot today, to the great issues of the day. He is the author of a number of books, including his 2001 bestseller, The Skeptical Environmentalist, and his most recent book, Prioritizing Development, a Cost-Benefit Analysis of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Bjorn Lomborg, welcome.
Thank you, Peter.
Let's begin with the issue. You do all kinds of interesting work, and we'll come to some of the other work you do. But let's begin with the issue that first brought you to prominence, and to which you still devote a lot of time, climate change. Here we have Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking just a couple of weeks ago.
I think that the part of it that is generational is that millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
The world will end in 10 years, and this is the millennial generation's World War II, to which Bjorn Lomborg says,
well, it's first of all a wonderful encapsulation of how we really talk about global warming. There's a sense the world is going to come to an end very, very soon, and so we got to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this problem. Now, if that was really true, if the world was ending in 10 years, then of course we should throw everything at this problem. But that's not what the UN Climate Panel is telling us. Actually, the UN Climate Panel tells us global warming is an issue. Overall, and in the long run, this will be a significant problem for humanity. So a lot of climate economists have spent a long time. The Nobel Award was just awarded to William Nordhaus, the first climate economist ever to get the Nobel Prize. And he tells us, along with lots of other experts, that global warming by the end of the century will cost in the order of 2 to 4% of global GDP. So that means the sort of experience that you will have will be, on average, that you will be 2 to 4% less rich by the end of the century than you would otherwise be.
Not less rich than we are now.
No.
Less rich than we otherwise would have been.
Yeah. And
the projections are all for increasing standards.
Of course, yeah. So remember, we're talking we'll be 300 to 1,000% richer in 2100, and then we'll be 2 to 4% less rich.
So we might end up being 996% less rich.
Actually, you have to take it a little more, right, because it's the percent of that. But yes, it's a very small percentage of a much, much larger number. And that, of course, is why you need to recognize global warming is a problem, but it's just simply and by no means the end of the world. And now, if it's a problem, so that's what the UN Climate Panel very clearly tells us. It's a problem. If it's a problem, there are many, many problems in the world. And we need to make sure that we fix those problems in a way where we spend less resources to fixing them than the negative impact that they have. Otherwise, we're actually throwing away resources. And of course, resources we could have spent on doing a lot of other good elsewhere. And so my real problem with this sort of proposal that she just told us, we need to spend lots and lots of money. Remember her new Green Deal seems to indicate that we're going to be spending in the order of $2.1 trillion a year. This is the Bloomberg estimate, and obviously this is a very rough estimate. $2.1 trillion to achieve almost nothing in 100 years. That is typically a bad deal. And so my point here is not to say she has her heart in the right place, but I want to make sure that we actually do things, both for climate and all the other problems in the world, that do the most good. And unfortunately, that's not it.